All right, sounds good.
Hey, welcome to the launch for Somewhere Quiet, Full of Light by the amazing Henry Corrigan. Congratulations, Henry, on the release of your novella.
Thank you.
Um, I was so excited to receive this manuscript in the email, and when I opened it and started reading, it was just like I knew that I was onto something special. So thank you for choosing Slashik to submit to. Um, and yeah, I've just been so proud to be able to bring this book to life with you. So yeah, thank you for that.
Well,
Um,
thank you. You've honestly made this whole process a joy for me. So thank you very, very much. There's a real reason that I really appreciate indie presses more than agents and like, or at least every time I do a new project, I submit for both indies and for agents at the same time. But indies, by and large, they tend to be a lot more responsive. So yeah, thank you for being you. So,
oh well, I can't be anyone else. So I'll just do a quick introduction of who we've got here, and then we can sort of start talking about the book. So Henry Corrigan, man of the hour, is a bisexual author, poet, and playwright who wants to write every kind of story. He knows this sounds pretentious, but screw it, he's going for it. Always an avid reader, Henry started writing poetry in middle school, but it wasn't until he started writing erotica in high school that he really learned the mechanics of writing. When what started out as private stories and love letters soon became publications in anthologies. To date, he has self-published a novella, Carnal Theory, and written one full-length dark fiction novel that he's currently shopping around. He also has the rough drafts of two science fiction books, one horror novella, one play, four children's books, numerous poems, and several song lyrics. Above all, he wants to be known for not staying where he's been put, to always surprise people, especially himself, because that's what makes it fun. The feeling that even he doesn't know what he's going to do next.
absolutely.
I'm not sure, is that bio like up to date or is that a little outdated?
The only thing that is just been updated, and that's just for what I have coming next, is that the novel the horror novel that I mentioned talking about that I'm shopping around actually has finally found a home, and it's hoping to. Let me see. I just got the contract back from the publisher, so I haven't been given leave to announce it yet, but the plan is to have it published and out in the world in the spring of 2026. So
Oh, amazing. Congratulations.
thank you very much. Yeah,
It's
that's
such a
actually
like,
it's another actually queer supernatural horror novel, and it's the first in a series. So I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into it. Yeah,
oh, fantastic. Well done.
thank you, thank you. Yeah. The let's say beyond that, I think that's the only other thing is I have poetry. I have actually another poem that horror poem that's actually going to be coming out this summer for that's going to be part of a anthology for another small press from Graveside. So they're going to so that's going to be fun. I like the fact that I'm trying to have a number of events and signings set for myself, or at least over the next few months. So I'm hoping to eventually get like more like needing more table space based on how many books it is that I have at the time that I'm pushing for. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. And it's been really nice to sort of watch your progression and see things growing for you. It's just such a nice feeling. You're such a nice guy. You deserve it.
oh,
So,
thank you so much. Thank you. You're a very nice guy as well. And just a quick aside to Elton, thank you so much for how well that for how one for your review of the book, and just two for the fact that you are being up so late with us. I really appreciate that. So thank you very very
You're
much.
very welcome. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Thank you very much.
well, that leads me into my introduction of Elton because
Ah,
he's kind of
smooth.
sitting there
Yep,
like,
smooth, very smooth. Yep. Yeah.
so yeah, Elton's our special guest of honor tonight. As Henry mentioned, Elton did blurb the book. So he was one of the first people outside of myself to read the book and obviously saw it quite favorably and said he'd love to put his name on the cover somewhere. So thank you for doing that, Elton, and being so generous with your time. Elton's also a kind of, I think, a household name. I think now he's like a star on Godless. He's like works with a couple of other presses. He's very humble. Look at him blushing through his beard. I've had the honor of publishing Elton as well. So super excited to know the guy and just really, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Um, thanks for your time. And Elton is a superstar author as well. So I'm in good company tonight or today.
So you
Thank you very much, both.
flatterer.
He's like speechless now. He's like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so like, no, I'm not very good at talking about myself, but yes, no, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Henry. Turn it back around.
Yeah, yes.
I'm okay with that. Yes.
So the first thing I typically do before we like really get into the book is just do a shout out to the cover designer. So I do a lot of work with Christy Aldridge from Grim Poppy Designs, not AI for anyone watching.
Thank you. Yes.
And so
Yep.
she got a cover brief for this one that Henry and I put together and had a couple of, like the inspirational images and things like that. And she kind of just whipped this up in a couple of days. And I really love the yellow, like, and black contrasting colors. To me, I don't know why yellow works so well for this, but it really does. So thanks to Christy for bringing the ideas that Henry, mostly Henry had for the cover to life. And yeah, so that's what I want to say about that. But did you have anything you want to say about the cover, Henry?
Yes, I got to tell you, the I get so many comments and compliments on the cover. So thank you very much to Christy. It really came out beautifully. And yeah, the and I remember doing the brief and and I had the colors primarily in mind when we were putting it together, is like, the black, yellow, and some green in there because I wanted the cover to evoke a sense of malignancy, and that's really, and Christy absolutely knocked it out of the park. So I get the most compliments about the cover itself, and it's like, did you design it yourself? I said, no, actually, and just the fact that it's not AI at all, and she did a beautiful job on it. I can't thank her enough. That's beautiful. It really has garnered me such praise for the novel itself. So,
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, I'm glad you're happy with it.
I am, yes, I am.
But that's the thing about working with Grim Poppy as well, is that we get to sort of go back essentially an infinite number of times and say what we're not like sure about and get it refined and refined until we are happy with it. So yeah, so thanks again to Christy if she's watching, if she ever watches this.
Thank you, Christy.
And now I'm just going to hand over to Elton.
Mhm.
So you guys can have a discussion about the book, the things that, matter to both of you about it and whatever. And I'm going to actually turn my camera off, and so you don't have to see my face anymore.
Going dark. No
Oh, he's
worries.
gone. Hey, Henry. So, again, like, amazing book. Really, really glad to have read it, and I'm really, really proud of like what we're doing with it. It was phenomenal. It's one of those books that I'm kind of still be thinking about a really long time after reading it. Um,
Thank you very much. That
so,
means the world to me.
so I see. So yeah, let's just chat about it. Let's start from from the top. How important was it for you to write about a family that had queer parents? Like, why was that sort of an important thing for you to do?
It became something that I realized was very essential, very and laid into the story itself. And it was the because I love the family itself, and I wanted to talk about and the one of the things that I think I really wanted to show is just how normal and loving and how beautiful the family is together on their own before they get to the house. And I wanted to express that normalcy itself, is because I think it was I forget who had made the comment, but another indie author had made the comment that my hope is that one day that when you go to the bookstore, you're there's no like section for like queer fiction and then regular fiction. It's just fiction because you just honestly you don't it doesn't matter whether the family is queer or whether they're not. It's just you're looking at a modern day family and just and all of the emotions that get evoked when that starts. And the deeper I got into the book, and the more it really became necessary, really, to be not just simply because they their queerness really spoke to me, but also because of the world that we're in right now, and without getting too deep into politics or anything like that, it felt, and I commented to another author just the other day, saying about how before all of this madness and everything that we're dealing with now, it felt like we were on the road to something that was good or some kind of greatness. At least I'm in the US, so I'm dealing with it on a daily thing. But it felt like we were getting there. Like the government, before like Trump's first term and everything like that, like the government had acknowledged people's pronouns. It had, I was part of special emphasis programs to talk about anything from celebrate anything from Pride to Native American history, women's history, all these things, and it felt like we were getting towards real conversations about sex, gender, race, and the how all of these things influence each other. And now I I want to get back to that. I want to make it normal, for when you're reading about a family, about no matter where it is, whether it's two gay dads or it's two women or it's a confluence of things that make up like a chosen family. I just want to be able to normalize that because we need it, and I think it's gets more and more important every day to have more queer fiction out there, so it becomes more normal for people.
Yeah. And the good thing about it as well was that the queerness of the family was kind of incidental. It didn't necessarily matter that they were a queer family in the sense that they've come to this place, this dark place, and they're being terrorized by this threatening presence.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily it wasn't a political story, but
No.
it just shows how important representation is. Representation, visibility, for queer people in books is great. I love this family as well. Um, I think they were sort of amazing. You really caught a family dynamic with them, and especially as things started to unravel as well. Sort of the adversity between the characters as well was really sort of really quite moving. The house itself
Mm.
becomes sort of is a very very significant character in the book. It's its own character, its own history, its own story.
Yeah.
The sort of way that you've written it, certain sections of it as being sentient.
Yeah.
What kind of inspired you to write the house as an extra character?
Actually, the story, it really started with the house, really itself. Like like when I first started writing this, I didn't even have like the ideas for characters yet, or who they, or even the family yet. I had been watching a lot of classic haunted house features, and a lot of stuff from like the 70s and the early 80s, and so and the it occurred to me that the that a lot of the stories, or even the more famous ones, the house tends to be can be a character in itself, like, with the atmosphere that it brings in. It has like a sense that it's pulling people in, but you never really hear from the house itself. You never really hear, and I believe, or at least, I like the idea that the more that you invest in certain objects, the more that they kind of take on a life of their own, and they have like a history behind them. So I wanted to really express that idea that the house doesn't just have like a sense or a personality itself. You will hear and you will know all of its thoughts, and you will see everything that it has planned, and you will see what's coming, and you won't be able to stop it. And so it really it started with the house, and I wanted the house to be able to express the idea of the lie of the American dream and the lie of the American dream and the let me see the danger of affluence, I should say. The idea that you can pull something that I'm sorry, the idea that you can pull something that is or own something that only ends up owning you. And yeah, that was where it really started from. And the more that I dug into the character of the house itself, the more the family started coming out to me, and the more the first family of the house really jumped out at me. So it was yeah, it really it started with the house, and I wanted to hear her. I wanted to see her thoughts on the page. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting as well, the fact that it's not necessarily a story about family. It's how this story, when a family are incidental side characters to it, they could have been anyone. They turned up to the house, and the house had anger and had history and had things to say. I think that was really, really brilliant, particularly in that opening chapter, writing from the first person perspective of the house. It's yeah, really, really nice. I was really like just stuck in immediately with that, and I just couldn't stop reading out all of so kudos to you on that one. What influences do you have any sort of primary influences? And you were watching a lot of film about or want to ask any literary influences?
Yeah, the literary influences. I mean, the let's see. I'm a huge fan of Shirley Jackson's the original The Haunting of Hill House. Obviously, I loved that. I read The Shining. And I loved those. Let me see. I loved those books. But the I was really inspired for at least this story itself. I was more inspired by haunted house films than I was by actual literature, which was and that's why I wanted the aesthetic to be very much written into the story itself. Like I watched The Changeling with let me see, Scott, and I watched Burnt Offerings and The House by the Cemetery. And The House by the Cemetery, I believe, is Lucio Fulci, and it's very much giallo, and the highly saturated colors. So I wanted that to influence the cover itself. So that's why I wanted like black, yellow, green, some sense of malignancy. And so that's the films and the stories and the characters themselves that really influenced me even more than the books themselves. Is I wanted to get into the real heart of the films and what made them so terrifying, but put it on the page. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as a sort of really cinematically, it's very easy to sort of read the words that you've written down and to see exactly sort of what you were seeing when you wrote it. And I think that's it does sort of lend to Bruce visual representation of the story itself. I think that was really brilliantly done. Um, but obviously the book's really it's a very emotional book. It's about anger and love and resentment and fear, which in their own way tend to lead the narrative at times, particularly in relation to the house and its motivation. Was it a decision to write so emotionally about it?
Yes, actually, the I wanted to very much evoke because we're often led by our emotions, and we like to think that we're very thinking animals and very thinking people, and we are. We can reason, we can do a lot of things, and we can do some amazing things, but we're led by our emotions more than anything else in the world. And the the emotion that really, I think, that brought the whole book together and that I really cared about the most was guilt, actually, because Eric's character is very much burdened by the history that he had with his growing up poor, going and his parents not being at all supportive of who he was or bringing him up well, and the need to escape some of that poverty that he lived with. But then he's in this very loving relationship with his husband Mike, and the problem that they find is that or at least when we first are introduced to him in the story, we understand that their issues with each other have started even before the house showed up. Like he had said, that why is it that now that now that we're not like dealing with screaming landlords, now that we have like money and some success and some sense of security, why is it we fight more now than we did when we were dirt poor and not having any, and having to, dig through the couch to be able to get some coins for the laundromat or whatever it was. That's the, yeah, guilt, I think, is the biggest thing that has driven this story. And just the sense that Eric didn't want to quash Mike's dreams of picking up this house and moving it forward. And when you do things out of guilt more than out of a real sense of love or duty to somebody else, it opens you up to all kinds of terrors, and they can be very, very mundane, but that doesn't mean that they're not malignant and also dangerous.
House had to have something to sort of some kind of grab hold of when if you do something that was already wrong fundamentally with the family to be able to have an entry point.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that sort of Mike's house, and it was this sort of passion project that he ends up sort of becoming less present throughout the story. Eric's sort of taking more of a central position that kind of gave you the image of like, well, it's not necessarily the story with it was going to be it's turned into dealing with a secondary sort of tension within the story, and Eric being less sort of initially less possessed by the house, and he's more of a reliable narrator as well. So it's just really interesting sort of dichotomy between the two characters and how we're handling the relationship between them. Also the sort of the tension of the supernatural element of the house bringing into their relationship as well.
Yeah,
it was just really good. It was a really original take, sort of a haunted house or an attic. I used the word haunted house very, very loosely because it didn't feel like a traditional haunted house story. It feels, like I say, because of the humanity and the expression and emotion within the house itself, being sentient character, it feels like an elevated version of a haunted house story. And I think that's what's going to really bring readers into you, and I think it's going to be a really, really successful book.
Thank you very much. It's something that I worked very, very hard to be able to make it my own and make it unique. And I was very, very lucky because I'm a member of the Horror Writers Association, and I had seen a call out for the mentorship program, and I knew that I had a very rough version of this story, and I wanted to expand it, and I wanted to really start working with like a more seasoned writers, and I got to work with David Niall Wilson on this and work out the story itself. And David was very much helped me out very much with the thought, not just the thought process, but the voice of the house itself, because the house is about 70 years old and it's pretending to be far older and far grander. It's pretending to be, it has delusions. The house itself has delusions of grandeur, which is something that I love. Is it believes that it's like this Victorian, mansion or villa or something like that, and it's not. So I wanted the language or the voice of the house to be very hoity-toity, upper crust, and David was the one who talked me out of that, and because he's like, no, this won't work. It won't come across very well, and retooling the house's voice really helped me to not only just finish the story, but to see like how it really affected the characters themselves and pull in the first family as well. That was so much fun. So I was very, very lucky to have gotten to work with him.
It does have a really sort of gothic feel to it, even sort of modern day story. It does have sort of elements of gothic to it, and you can sort of see a lot of your inspirations through Jackson and things like that sort of coming through there, but sort of modernized and set up for a more audience. Yeah, absolutely wonderfully done. Um, I think we should bring David back. Are you there, David? Yeah.
I never left.
Never
I was a ghost in the machine.
Yeah.
It was such a lovely discussion, and I love hearing you talk, Henry, just about like your process and the influences, and like even just that last part about the way that you changed the character of the house. It still, to me, it still has delusions of grandeur, but
Yeah.
you haven't reflected that in the language it uses to describe things. So
No, you have to make it, it is that's it was very difficult at first, but once I figured out, it's like the you can you can make it like hoity-toity, but you have to make it accessible at the same
yeah,
time, because if the language gets too archaic, nobody's going to want to follow it. So, and that's one of the things and once I figured out how to do it, that started really flowing, and I was very, very happy with where it went from there. So, because it very much creates like a juxtaposition between the house's ideas of the family itself and their future versus Eric's idea, of the family itself. So
yeah.
I had a lot of fun with that. Yeah.
And what I loved about the house itself is that like you can feel why it's doing what it's doing.
Hmm.
You can
Yeah.
feel it, and you're like half of me was like, I want it to succeed because of the horrible things that have happened
Yeah.
in the past, and then the other half is like that family needs to get their heck out of there. So it was like and you did that balance between the two perspectives really, really nicely. And for me, that's what made the story so devastating because you've got these two opposing sides and you feel equally for both of them. And it's someone's going to lose, and either way, it's going to be heartbreaking. So,
Yeah, yeah. Both sides have
well
suffered,
done.
and it's like, yeah, and that's also like the relationship between Eric and Mike, because I wanted, you have like this push and pull between the house and the family, and then you have this push and pull between Eric and Mike, and it's I wanted that that everybody has suffered, everybody's put so much into this, and they have so many dreams and expectations, and it's who's willing, and at the end of the day, it's who is willing to go the farthest to be able to make their dreams come true. And that is supposed to be, we tell each other, if we tell ourselves, if you really want your dreams to come through, you got to go after it like nobody's business. But it's when those dreams are very toxic, that's dangerous, and that's where things, and that's where things will lead you. They'll, like I said, that some doors lead only to ruin. So yeah.
Yeah, and they really do. So,
Yes.
um, so once again, for anyone watching this, this is the absolutely stunning cover for Henry's equally stunning novella, Somewhere Quiet, Full of Light. And I just wanted to quickly also highlight the chapter images that we did.
Yeah, they're
Just
beautiful.
the character, like to give the interior a little bit more character as well.
Mhm.
I worked really hard on those. I'm not a graphic designer, but I think I
They
did
came
all
out beautifully.
right. So
They
we've
came out
got
beautifully. They really did. Yeah,
thank
I
you. We've
love
got
it.
like a minute left before the program kicks us out. So I just want to quickly get a sense from you what's next. You said you can't announce something and that's fine, but have you got anything else in the works for us?
Yeah, well, like I said, I have a poem that's going to be part of an anthology from Graveside Press this July. I'm currently working. I just actually finished the rough draft of a horror fantasy story, a horror fantasy novel that is kind of like a very twisted version of kind of like a very twisted version of what it's like, of the aftermath of a World War II bioweapons camp. So it's definitely the darkest that I've gone. So it's a book that it's called Quarry 801. It's a book that I love, but I also hate because it is so dark at the same time. And right now, I'm writing actually. I've written a couple of other horror and fantasy stories. I have another horror novella that's a slasher that I'm currently revising. I have let's say a coming of age psychological horror story that is the first in a series, and I'm actually writing something completely different right now, which is nonfiction a story or nonfiction book about it's a queer look through the Bible and through faith itself. I grew up Catholic, and I've struggled with my faith for years, and I've only recently, in the last number of years, really returned to it. So I wanted to